Okay, let me say I got it. Absolutely. Good afternoon and welcome to CFNC's first HBCU Self-Love Learning to Take Care of Yourself webinar. We are so excited about the session that we're having this afternoon, and we want to thank you once again for registering and attending this wonderful, wonderful session that I think we all can benefit from. We have a wonderful list of panelists from 7 different college HBCUs across the state of North Carolina. And we also have someone who has their own facility, and she's going to be sharing information with us as well regarding mental health. So I do want to thank you. We're asking that you do remain muted during the entire session. And if you want to turn your camera off, feel free to do so. We will be having, of course, the person that will be speaking will have their camera on throughout the duration of their presentation. But as representatives are completing their presentation, they will be turning their camera off. At this time, we're going to go ahead on and proceed with our PowerPoint. I don't want to delay the hour any longer and I don't want to spend a lot of time talking myself, because we have a plethora of information and resources that's going to be shared, and I don't want to use any of their time because they are the experts, and we're so very excited about what they have to share with us this afternoon. Okay, speaker. Today's facilitators, yours truly. I'm Soretta Broadway, the 919 CFNC Regional Representative. Also, my colleague, Tamika Ruffin, that you will be hearing from later on in the program. She is the 704 CFNC Regional Representative. And my other colleague, Ms. Juana Hernandez Alara, she is the State Representative for Spanish Services. So just want to give you a little bit of background about CFNC for those of you who may not be familiar with College Foundation of North Carolina. CFNC is a one-stop shop resource center providing information on career planning, academic planning, college preparation, providing information on planning, applying, paying, and saving for college in a nutshell. We're made up of 6 partners, the 36 independent colleges and universities across the state of North Carolina, our 16 UNC campuses, our 58 community colleges, North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, North Carolina State Education Assistance Authority, and College Foundation Incorporated. We all decided to come under one umbrella to provide everything that you need to know about those topics that I just named. And we are assisting students as early as kindergarten all the way through adulthood. And the most important thing about CFNC is that we are a free resource to the students and the patrons, parents in the state of North Carolina. Okay. So you may be wondering, well, what are you going to be talking about? This is one of the best times of the year because, of course, February, we just finished celebrating love, just love. We just want to spread love everywhere, but not just during the month of February, of course, but throughout the whole 365 days. We want to be able to provide information regarding how we can get through these times that we're living in. Is been very stressful for not only our HBCU students, but adults as well at large. For everyone, we are experiencing so many different things in our lives, and having some coping mechanism can definitely help us navigate through those times. So what we're going to be discussing this afternoon is, what is mental health? What resources are available on your college campuses? We're going to also be talking about tips that you'll be able to use to manage mental wellness. Self-love is what we want to highlight today. And we're going to have, as I said earlier, a time for you to be able to ask questions that you would like verbally, or you can put them in the chat and we will entertain those questions as well. So I want you to sit back, relax, and take in all of this wonderful information that you can take with you for a lifetime. So first up is going to be Johnson C. Smith University. Our presenter is Ms. Tiara Parsons. She is with the Counseling Center Director, and she's going to be talking about affirming your mental wellness. Take it away, Ms. Parsons.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here. Like she mentioned, my name is Tiara Parsons, Director of Counseling Services at Johnson C. Smith University. And on our campus, we value affirmations and their impact on mental wellness. And we also believe that it's a great way to practice self-love. And so next slide. So I just wanted to share a few statistics about college students and mental health, just to let you know that you're not alone with any type of struggle that you may face on a day-to-day basis. Especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, we've all experienced significant challenges, but we also know that we have community and we find comfort in that community and that you're not alone. So why is taking care of your mental health important? It's super important because it's a significant part of your life that helps you to be able to manage your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. It also promotes productivity, which is very important on a college campus. It also impacts the health of your relationships, whether it be family relationships, interpersonal relationships, and it also helps you to adapt to all these changes that you may be experiencing, especially if you're a first-time college student. And so some of the services that I want to highlight on our campus that we provide, of course, the gamut of individual counseling, group counseling, domestic violence, sexual assault services, alcohol, other drug support. But what I want to highlight is our telehealth service that we have, where students can access a medical doctor, a health coach, and also a mental health counselor 24/7, 365, no matter where you're at, no matter what day it is. That's powered by Timely MD. And so we're very excited. We've had this service about 2 years now, just to expand our reach on campus, because we realize the stigma is so prevalent amongst the African-American community and on college campuses. So we want to make sure we provide that option to our students. In addition to the services that we provide, we also value our programming, advocacy, and outreach services. So some practical tips, I won't read them all, that I want to share with you today to help you maintain good mental health. It's just to make sure you surround yourself with good people. It's important for you to be able to lean on someone who has your best interest at heart, someone who can help you release those feelings, and someone who can uplift you. Another practical tip that I want to share is to talk to a counselor. It's okay. We're going to normalize the idea of reaching out to someone to get the professional help that you need. It doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you. It just means that you're taking a proactive step to better your life. And lastly, I want to also highlight the importance of maintaining your hope and always believing in yourself, because if nobody else believes in you, it's important for you to believe in yourself. So I'm going to end on the power of affirmations. We so appreciate this concept. We share this amount of love on our campus. And so we believe that affirmations can help you readjust your mindset, especially when it's quiet and no one else is around. You can build yourself up. They also remind you of your self-worth, and they also can boost your motivation and your confidence. And so I'm going to leave you with a few affirmations that you can practice every day. So the first affirmation, you can take a picture or you can add it in the chat, is I am enough. Even when you don't think you are enough. The second affirmation is I am capable. Whenever the coursework is mounting or you have a lot of family concerns, you're capable and able to make it through any hardship or challenge that you face. The next affirmation is I am deserving. You're deserving of love, self-care, of all the blessings that come your way. Don't think that you're not, because you are deserving. And the last affirmation, I believe, is I am not alone. Sometimes you might feel like it, but you have an array of support around you and also your services on a college campus. So don't be afraid to reach out, and always know that we're here to support you. And I'll end with this. Ultimately, I can speak for my colleagues as well. We want you to be empowered to win. You have the strength to overcome any obstacle that comes your way. Just make sure that you take pride in loving yourself, especially during Love Month and the days moving forward. And the quote that you see here is, "The best is yet to be." So keep pressing forward and make sure that you prioritize your mental health. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Parsons, for that wealth of information that definitely one can take away and apply it to their lives. Now we are going to be hearing from North Carolina Central University, Ms. Shaniqua Kennedy, who is the Director of Counseling Services, Practicing Self-Love and Self-Compassion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. I am Shaniqua Kennedy, the Director of Counseling at North Carolina Central University. And expanding upon our theme today about self-love, I'd like to talk a little bit more about how we practice self-love and self-compassion. So first, I think it's helpful to define what is self-love and what is self-compassion. You can think of self-love as being the way that you value self, the way that you appreciate self, and self-compassion being the way that you demonstrate that love for self. And so thinking about this is, how do you extend kindness to self, particularly when challenges arise? How do you talk to yourself? How do you treat yourself? One of the ways in which I found very meaningful in terms of how to remember about self-love and its importance is because it helps you to interact with others in different ways when you are intentional about recognizing how you love yourself, how you care for yourself, and how you extend that kindness. And that way is a song. I'm not going to sing it, but I'll tell you the lyrics because I think it's an easy way to remember the importance of self-love. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much that you can start loving me. Meaning that if I can demonstrate my love for self, my value, and how I appreciate my worth, then I am able to extend that to others. I'm able to be compassionate towards them and extend them kindness. And in turn, they're able to do the same thing. And we have this opportunity to be able to not only care for self, to love self, but to model it and help encourage others to do the same. And when we are engaging in self-compassion, when we're being able to be kind to self, it helps us to practice self-care. And what could that look like? It could be any morning that you wake up, starting your day with a wellness check. How do I feel when I wake up? What is this day going to be like? So being able to command your day in a sense. And part of that wellness check is, if you engage in it, on a scale of 1 to 10, when I wake up in the morning, how am I starting my day? 10 being the best that I can feel, or 1 being, I'm not starting this day so well. So what do I need to do before I actually get started with my day so that I am able to set the tone for my day and have it go the way that I am expecting? If I can't control what happens during the day, I certainly can control my mindset. And a part of that can be extending from that wellness check to engage in some mindful practices, whether that is slow, intentional, deep breaths as you begin your day, whether it is prayer, meditation, or another mindful practice that you find helpful, like a body scan. Any of those self-care practices can be helpful as you start your day and can be practiced on a daily basis. They can take as little or as short as 2 to 3 minutes to a longer period of time if you can set that time aside to center and ground yourself at the beginning of your day. And if you have opportunity as a self-care practice, you can revisit those practices for centering and grounding. Somewhere around midday can be helpful, but certainly finding an opportunity as you wind down and close out your day, it may be helpful to reestablish that centered or groundedness as a way to decompress from the day, but it's also a way to even have an opportunity to improve the quality of sleep. We know that it's not just the length of time that you sleep that matters, but the quality of your sleep. So having restorative sleep can be reinforced by engaging in that practice again at the end of the day. And there are some other ways that people can find the self-care practices too that are meaningful to them. And then there are some practices for self-care that may be done on a regular basis that are not just, or may not be done daily, but they can be a regular practice. And that could be planning the time that you have to engage with other people. So staying connected to someone or something being things that you enjoy, things that you find meaningful, things that you can be grateful for, whether that's spending time volunteering in an area that's meaningful or passionate for you. It could also be finding other ways to connect with your social support. So maintaining those connections can be helpful as self-care practices. Being able to check in with others, setting aside a time, maybe weekly or every other week or monthly, to check in with other people, to really sit with them and check in. How are you doing? We often think of when we ask people that question, we're moving and passing, and we may or may not actually be listening to what they're saying when we check in with them. So this check-in time as a self-care practice would be stopping, and it would be the intentional check-in of asking, how are you doing? How are you really doing? And paying attention to what someone says, but also what their affect and their body language communicate to you about how they may be doing as well. So that you're able to not only check in with them, but being able to provide a level of emotional support that you're able to give as a way to reinforce self-love and self-compassion as a way of self-care. So times when these practices they're meaningful at any point in time to reinforce a sense of wellness, but to also reestablish when there is distress, that sense of wellness, as wellness occurs on a continuum, and we try to stay where we feel balanced or centered. But the times that we find there is some distress, when there is a loss, whether that loss is by death, whether it's the loss of an experience or expectations. And during this time of the pandemic, we know that there has been more loss, or we've redefined what loss is like to reiterate that loss doesn't just occur with death, but loss of experiences, opportunities, or expectations that have been changed because of the pandemic. And so being able to recognize that life has been interrupted, and knowing that our social connections may have changed, but we also have an opportunity to reassess what's important about maintaining those connections, how we maintain those connections. And if that's something that we weren't intentional about before, now is certainly the time to reevaluate or reflect on how you can be more intentional, as those connections may have been disrupted, but certainly refocusing and finding ways that can be maintained over time. And as was referenced earlier, February, the month of love. And for those of us who may have been born in the month of love, recognizing that when relationship status may be different than what you want it to be, that can be distressing. And so being able to recognize, how do you then engage in self-love and self-compassion practices when that is the case? Certainly relationship status may be what you want it to be, and it's still important to practice self-love and self-compassion because you set the tone for how others interact with you, how others engage with you. When you can demonstrate how you value self, you set the expectation for how others value you. But when a relationship status differs from what you want it to be, it's really important to be able to practice self-love and self-compassion. Again, how you talk to yourself, how you treat yourself, so that when a relationship status moves into that area of where you want it to be, nothing changes for you. There is an additional person or people that are supporting what self-love and self-compassion looks like, but you already established that for you when you know what that is beforehand. So I wanted to just highlight some of the things that we do within Central's Counseling Center. We empower others to know what self-help and self-help opportunities, so lower levels of care, things that you can do on your own or independently. Certainly our outreach or psychoeducation opportunities to share how you can engage in some skilled practice, increasing awareness of different things related to mental health. The supported opportunities where there is individual counseling, maybe group counseling as well as another level of care. And then what I consider wrapped or strengthened opportunities for more specialized or intensive support that can be meaningful as well, are a part of what we provide. And I do want to provide our contact information should there be any students that are directly watching or engaging with us today. And if not, certainly as contact to reach out and learn more about the services that are provided through North Carolina Central's Counseling Center. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Kennedy. That information was so very valuable. I'm pretty sure there was a lot of takeaways. It was for me, so I'm sure there was a lot of takeaways for others as well. At this time, we're now going to introduce Bennett College, their counseling services under Dr. Lucia Graves, Director of Accessibility Services, and Ms. Aisha Griffin, Director of Counseling Services. So I do believe we're going to be having Ms. Aisha Griffin that will be speaking with us this afternoon. Thank you so very much.
I'm not sure if if Bennett is here, so we're going to move on to our next one. Ms. Barway, I think, and if they come, we'll add them on later. We're going to move on to our next one. And you are muted.
Me just talking right away. Thank you so much. We're now going to hear from Dr. Camilla Poger Guzman. She is the instructor, therapist, researcher, consultant instructor at Atrium Wake Baptist Health, founder of Salute Mental Health. Thank you so very much. Dr. Guzman, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me and thank you for the invitation today. And I'm here to talk to you about the things that I do through my practice and some of the community resources as well. So I am a bilingual provider, so I see a lot of folks with whose first language is Spanish. I'm an immigrant myself. I grew up in Chile and I've lived in Winston-Salem for about 15 years. And my mental health research is around suicide prevention and how to better increase the access to mental health services for our communities. And I'm also a suicide prevention advocate. I have volunteered with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention for a while now. And one of the things that I bring into the table today is a conversation about suicide and how to better learn about the warning signs and how to have that conversation. So we'll start by talking about the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, or FSSP, and everything that I'll share with you in this brief presentation, it can be found in their website, but I wanted to also bring it in to kind of talk through one of the things that we can look out for, the warning signs and the risk factors that put our community at risk for suicide, and how can we all talk about suicide and suicide prevention in our community. So while we know that there's no single cause for suicide, there's always risk factors and warning signs that we can all keep an eye on, and learning how to do that and what to look out for ourselves and for our family members, for our friends, and in our community, I think is really important when we talk about self-love and self-care as well. So for example, one of the things that we know from the research is that people that struggle with depression or anxiety or substance use have a high risk for suicide thoughts and suicide behaviors, as well some personality traits of maybe aggression or some radical mood changes, sometimes maybe like a serious health condition and chronic pain could also put us at risk. as well as our environment. We have now, or it's 2 years into a pandemic, and you probably have seen more conversations about suicide and news of folks that we have lost in the past few weeks to suicide loss. And I think it's important to keep in mind that when our environment changes and that prolonged stress, it's there, it increases our maybe suicidal thoughts and risk for suicide. So having that in mind is also important. Also, access to lethal means through the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, you can learn about how to talk to someone that might have access to guns and things like that, and how they can practice gun safety in those situations. Also, folks that might be going through a divorce or financial crisis or a radical stressful life event also puts them at higher risk for suicide. And when I talk to my clients and even with our community, I always like to mention that when folks have had a previous suicide attempt or there's a history of suicide in their family, it's also something to consider as it puts them at higher risk for a future suicide attempt. Also, having a history of abuse and neglect or trauma is also important to think about as we look out for each other, for folks in our life that might be experiencing suicide and suicidal thoughts. So it's always important to look at the warning signs. Sometimes we think that folks will say these things aloud or will really be open about when they're in crisis. Usually that doesn't happen. So it's important to look out at the changing behaviors and different things that people are struggling with, and to ask the questions, are you struggling with suicide? So one of the things that we can look out for is people that when our loved one or someone you know, or even yourself, if you're having thoughts about feeling really hopeless, or actually thoughts about ending their lives, having no reason to stay alive and things like that, feeling like a burden to others, feeling trapped, those are the things that are really worrisome and that will put us at higher risk for suicide. As well as I mentioned, the changing behavior can also be a warning sign to sort of think through, as well, increase in use of drugs and alcohol, for example, and the ones that sometimes we see in the movies or the shows when folks are writing letters, are giving away their prized possessions. All of those are signs of that they have been thinking about suicide and have a suicidal thoughts for a long time. Also, the drastic change in mood, so changing from being okay one day to feeling depressed or anxious, a quick irritability as well. So what can we do? One of the things that I do in my practice and my service work is to really encourage folks to have an honest conversation with one another. And I do believe that all of us in the school and everyone in our community has a role to play in that. So how can we do that? One of them is to talk to them in private. Sometimes we really like to have these conversations like in social media and things like that, but maybe sometimes we need that privacy, and listen to them, listen to their stories without being judgmental or dismissive. Tell them that you care about them, and asking directly. One of the things that I encounter a lot in my research is that folks there's a negative connotation with the word suicide, and we don't like to say, and I absolutely get that, but maybe creating language that is that makes sense to you, that is comfortable to you, that you'll know what you'll feel comfortable saying, but without leaving the word suicide out of the question as well. And also encourage folks to seek therapy, to seek talking to a doctor or a trusted adult in their lives. And then the National Suicide Prevention Line is available there. There is their 1-800 number. There's also a text number that folks can text to. And there's also a Spanish language number that I will show in the next slide. These are both the numbers. So the one here in English is the English line, and then the one in Spanish here is the Spanish number that folks can call. Take a screenshot of this, keep it with you because you don't know who might need it in the future. Both of these numbers are free to call. The only one that you can text to is the English one. The Spanish one is only for talking, but I have found in my community that they are very helpful to have handy. And also it's important to know that outside of the colleges and outside of schools, there are a lot of therapists like myself who are community-based, and you can find us, there's 2 directories here at the end. The Black Therapist Directory is to look for therapists that are experts in mental wellness of Black women and girls. And then the Latinx Therapist Directory in the bottom helps connect folks with a Latinx or bilingual therapist, not only in North Carolina, but across the country. Also NAMI, North Carolina, the National Alliance of Mental Health, is a good resource to have, and they have a wonderful website with resources. And the 211 number is a free number that folks can call 7 days a week when they have questions about health and human services in North Carolina. And overall, the Psychology Today is where folks can go and look at therapists in their area, and based on need and expertise and whether or not they take insurance or sliding scale. And that's just a good website to know about. And here's my information, my social media. I do have a mental health kit that I forgot to mention before, but if you'd like more information about that, feel free to email me. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Camilla Polgar. We really appreciate that wealth of information that you've shared with us this afternoon. We do understand that you are very busy and you work this into your schedule. So we're going to ask if there are any questions that anyone has that they would like to ask her at this time, or put in the Q&A, and I'm pretty sure she will be more than glad to entertain. We're just going to take a few moments to take some questions from for Dr. Polgar from anyone in the audience. And of course, there will be another Q&A at the end, but she's going to have to go on to another appointment. Any questions? And don't be shy. Be shy. Do you have any questions, Tamika, that you would like to ask? I know one that we were going to ask at the end, but I don't know if you want to ask this one that you and I had discussed yesterday. If you wanted to ask the question about.
I did want to just make sure that everybody's clear. I know you mentioned some information about insurance. I think one of the things in our communities, Black and Brown communities, is the option to, how do I pay for services like this, and what does that look like? So if you can kind of just touch on what payment options people have if they do reach out to you for additional conversations.
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are a few ways that therapists will charge for counseling services. Those therapists that are in a private practice community setting, they either take your insurance, so Blue Cross Blue Shield, MedCost, and all of that, and you can see in your card that you have an out-of-pocket, a copay, what is called, which is what you will pay your therapist, and the therapist will then file insurance. So that's one way. The other way is that a lot of us have a sliding scale fee. Like, for example, my fee is $50, which is half of what a regular consulting session is. Usually a consulting session ranges from $140 to $200, depending on the degree and expertise of the therapist. But the sliding scale is the most affordable way to seek out therapy sessions with community-based therapists. So what I would suggest is that if you go, for example, to the Psychology Today website or a therapist website, you can see in their website their sliding scale ranges, and then you can see what it will cost you without insurance, if that's the case. Because, for example, for the Latinx community, there's a lot of folks that are uninsured. So knowing about that sliding scale option is beneficial. And there are some therapists, I won't speak for all therapists, but there are some therapists that do free services. So I think that varies case by case, free services or pro bono services as well. So I think asking that question directly to a therapist or looking in their website, I think you can find information about that.
Wow. Thank you so very much. That's very, very, very interesting, and that's good to know, because that could keep someone from pursuing getting some help because they don't have the resources, or thinking they have to pay it all out of pocket. I think there was
exactly, yeah. And sorry, and as Juan has asked, the sliding scale in some situation is based on salary, and that's a conversation you can have with a therapist. In other situations, the therapist has already have a pre-sliding scale that they have set, so it kind of depends on the therapist.
Okay. Well, thank you so much again, Dr. Polgar. We appreciate you volunteering your time to share with us about suicide prevention. Thank you so very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, we're now going to continue on, and I believe next up is going to be Winston-Salem State University, and Ms. Kia Glover, who is the university counselor. She's also had some students along with her who will also be providing, I think, some testimonies or some additional information from a student's perspective. So at this time, we're going to hear from Ms. Glover and her students. Thank you.
Yeah, I had to bring my people with me. So good afternoon, everyone. I bring you greetings from Ram Country, also known as Winston-Salem State University, where our motto is we enter to learn and depart to serve. My name is Kia Glover. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I am housed in the Counseling Center on campus. The Counseling Center is a part of our Wellness Center, which we are very proud of because it's a comprehensive place where you can get counseling services. We have an on-campus pharmacy we're extremely proud of, and we also have our student health services. All of that is located within the Wellness Center. And our hashtag is Healthy Rams for Life. So everything that we do in the Wellness Center is to promote health and well-being for all students. And speaking of students, I'm super, super excited that I have two wonderful and amazing students with me to share a little bit of their insights. What better way to hear from students to students to learn about their perspective and their experience. So I have Miss Virginia Martinez. She is a double Winston-Salem State University student. She graduated with her undergraduate degree at Winston-Salem State, and she's also a graduate level intern, and she's working with us this semester from our rehab counseling program, and she's working with us in the Counseling Center. And we also have the amazing Miss Kaylin White. Kaylin White is currently the Vice President of Active Minds. I'm sure some of you know or have heard of Active Minds. Active Minds is a national organization that focuses on creating mental health and wellness awareness specific for college students. So we are very excited. So I'm going to share a little bit about the services that we offer, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Martinez, and then we'll wrap it up with Ms. Kaylin White. So again, in the Counseling Center, what we know to be true is I'm validating all of the statements and information that was shared previously with my colleagues from the other area HBCUs. But we know that on average, about 6 to 10% of students, whether it's an HBCU, MSI, or a PWI, only 6 to 10% are actually going to come in and receive services from the Counseling Center. Also, just to kind of normalize the experience though, is that we also know that about 1 in 4 college students and 1 in 4 individuals across the country meet diagnosable criteria for a mental health condition. The 2 most common are anxiety and depression. And I would say that those numbers may even be relative because we know the impact that COVID-19 has had on all of us these past couple of years. So we have seen an increase and an uptake in our services in the counseling center. So COVID-19 presented a very unique challenge for us at Winston-Salem State University, and I'm sure the rest of the panelists can attest to this. We had to quickly pivot from our traditional modality of offering face-to-face individual counseling services to something that was more virtually based, where we're offering telehealth services. So what we now offer is students, you all can actually go online, choose the counselor of your choice. We have 5 therapists, amazing therapists for you to choose from, and you can look at their availability and you can set an appointment that's convenient for you. The wonderful thing about this is you can have an appointment with your therapist and you can lounge in your residence hall. You can still have your pajamas on and just be really comfortable speaking your truth in a safe space. So we're really excited about that. Something else that we have done on our campus that we're also really proud of is we have a program called YANA, and it stands for You Are Not Alone. So when you come to the counseling center and you go online to create an appointment, you have an option to have an appointment with a mental health clinician or a YANA champion. So a YANA champion is a very passionate faculty or staff member who is trained in mental health first aid. And maybe you're not ready to sign up for clinical counseling, but you definitely know you want to speak to someone outside of your family and friends. You can go online and book an appointment with a YANA champion, and you can have a walk and talk. So you can walk with this individual around campus and just have intimate conversation, or you can have a sip and chat. And a sip and chat is basically where you're meeting with this faculty or staff person in a virtual format. And they too, just like us mental health clinicians, they're also bound by confidentiality. And so you definitely have options, okay? And we're very proud about that. We also offer group services, and we do a lot of different groups, whether it's learning how to make healthy choices, relationships, meditation and mindfulness. That's one of my areas of expertise. So we have groups that we offer, and we also have a relaxation room on campus that's also housed in the counseling center. We're very proud of that. In this space, it's 1 student at a time, and you can make an appointment to use this space where you have a full body massage chair. We have instruments to teach you biofeedback, which is a way to learn how to retrain your breathing cycle so you're calmer and you're more relaxed and you're able to engage life in a meaningful and a healthy way. We also have journaling, coloring, and we have a sound spa and a little waterfall. It's a really nice space that before COVID, it actually got a lot of use. So we're happy about that. We offer free psychiatry, okay? You do not have to use your insurance to access psychiatry. So if you're transitioning from high school and you're coming to college and perhaps you're working with mental health providers in the community and you want to transition your care to on campus, we have those comprehensive services where you're able to do so. And again, as the previous speaker mentioned, we're talking about insurance. There's no copay for our services. We're not charging insurance or late fees, any of the sort, because all of that is already covered in your student health fees. Let's see, what else do we I think that is pretty much the bulk of what we offer. Again, as I mentioned, we have a wide array of services that we offer. The bookings online, creating appointments is great. You can have appointments in the evenings and you can have appointments on the weekends. So COVID has offered us the ability to be flexible in that way. Now, I believe I am going to turn it over to Miss Virginia Martinez. This is something else that we offer. We offer teaching and learning opportunities for students who are interested in the helping professions. And we serve undergraduate students and graduate students with internship opportunities. And Miss Virginia Martinez can speak on her experience. And then she can turn it over to Kaylin White, who can talk more about Active Minds and some of our collaborative efforts that we've done with students this semester.
Well, thank you very much. This is definitely a wonderful, wonderful presentation that we're learning about all different HBCUs. I'm actually currently working at a high school where mental health has really impacted our adolescent population. COVID obviously has been a tremendous hit to our mental health. So having that awareness and me being able to see all the different services that all these HBCU colleges have, then I can actually be an advocate for our kids here. I see it on the daily basis how much mental health has been impacted. So all this information, I really, really appreciate you guys sharing it. It's a fascinating program. Everyone's doing so good. So I'll be reaching out to my high school students to have, in case they go to they need your services, and I'll definitely make sure they go there. So nice to meet everyone and great job. So I can, Ms. White.
Hello, everyone. I'm gonna take my mask down. Good afternoon. My name is Kaylin White. I am a junior here at Winston-Salem State University, and I am the Vice President of Active Minds. So Active Minds is an organization we have here on campus. It's also a part of a national organization, but our chapter here at Winston-Salem State University really want to focus on making sure students know that they can reach out to anyone here, get help, come out to events to make sure that they are getting the proper care that they need to take care of themselves, because a lot of the time we are so focused on our studies and our academics that we don't really take the time to just cater to ourselves and make sure that we are mentally okay before we can continue with our studies. So in the program, we have a whole lot of events, and it's definitely partnered with the Counseling Center. So we have things like the T-Bar, we had the Counseling Center had dogs to come out and, you know, just have a relaxing environment for us, because we may not, as a student myself, we may not always want to talk to a counselor or a staff at the moment, but just having the environment that like they have created for us, it really helps us come out of our shell, helps with academics. It really just makes us more aware that we have people around us that care about us and care about our mental health. So those are some of the things that we've had. And just being a part of it in general has made me aware of some of the things that I do, and I don't realize it, that I should change and be aware of so that I am taking care of myself. And I just think that overall, having this space for students, some people may not want to come out their shell. I know at first I didn't want to come out my shell, but having people like Ms. Glover to say, hey, you may not want to talk about it, but we are making a comfortable environment for you so that whenever you're ready to talk about it, you're open and willing to get that help. So I think that's my biggest takeaway from the whole entire thing. Yeah, just from a student perspective. And I really do thank you guys for inviting us here. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, I can answer those also about Active Minds and our organization.
I just want to thank Kaylin and Virginia both for responding to the call and the request, because they could have easily said, you know, I'm busy, I got things to do, but both of them are very much committed to mental health and wellness and serving our community on campus, as well as when they leave Winston-Salem State University and they depart to serve. I'm absolutely certain they're going to take all of this information and carry it forward and help to help our community and everyone around us. So thank you very much from Winston-Salem State University.
Thank you, Ms. Glover and Ms. Martinez and Ms. White for that wealth of information, and hearing it from 3 different perspectives right then was so wonderful. And I appreciate Kaylin being transparent and talking about how the student perceives talking about mental health and situations that are going on. So thank you all so very much. We're now going to have North Carolina A&T State University's counseling services information shared by Ms. Leah Bradshaw. Ms. Bradshaw, take it away.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leah Bradshaw. I'm currently a clinical social work intern here at North Carolina A&T State University's Counseling Center. So it definitely is an honor to be able to represent my school and counseling services here at this conference. Definitely, I've been here for about 2 years now, and I'm just here getting my clinical training through counseling services. So I just want to go into a little bit about what we do. This is called the PEC-C. So just as everyone else said, we provide personal counseling, academic counseling. We do testing, and we also have the collegiate recovery community. So through the academic counseling, I think that it's really great if students come out and utilize this as well. A lot of students are not aware that we also do provide that individual therapy, but we can also help with academic skills. So these are just specifically some of the things that we do within inside of the PEC-C that I just explained. We have individual sessions just as well as we offer couples counseling. So with the couples counseling, it just has to be a student that is at the university as well. We do provide consultations with different departments around campus, such as like the dormitory or the student center, the student medical center, and different things like that. We also have groups where all of our clinicians here offer different groups just tailored to their specific interests when it comes to what they are wanting to promote according to mental wellness. We do classroom presentations and different workshops and trainings overall around campus. This is usually provided upon request, depending on what the teachers have been really looking forward to sharing with their students. So some of the classroom presentations that we have offered had to do with a lot about the pandemic and just kind of helping yourself find tools to get over anxiety and depression and different things like that. This is just a slide to kind of address a little bit off of what we just talked about. So we do have Active Minds and a collegiate recovery community here as well. This is just where we allow our students to participate in our services and just kind of produce tabling events, come out and share their personal experiences, and just being able to be in a community where they all feel empowered. So this is what I definitely want to leave you guys with today. I think that when it comes to mindfulness and self-care and finding that self-compassion that you look for, it's important to, when you're aware and you're not thinking about the past and you're not thinking about the future, and just kind of aware of that current moment and trying to find that healthy emotional well-being. These are some of the tips that you can definitely utilize when trying to find that. I definitely love this quote right here. You can't pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of yourself first. So definitely like going on walks, mindfulness, coloring, just participating in different things that overall enhances your self-compassion can help with involving the capacity of your comfort and overall teaching yourself how to self-soothe during those hard times. So definitely, We want you guys to come out to counseling services and come see us. Our services are free and included into tuition. So just completing a screening form, you will talk with a counselor and you will be matched up with a therapist and given an appointment. And here is our contact information and how you will contact us. So thank you all for coming out and listening to me today.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Bradshaw. I like that. You can't pour from an empty cup. So self-care is very, very, very crucial. Thank you so much for that information regarding North Carolina A&T State University. We now are going to shift gears and we're going on to St. Augustine's University, where we will be hearing from Mr. Birchie Warren, who is the Director of Counseling and Psychological Services. Thank you, Mr. Warren.
Thank you so much for having me, and to all my colleagues. I'm going to just simply talk with you and reiterate much of what's already been said with reference to services. At St. Augustine's, we are a small counseling center where we have 4 counselors and a clinical services coordinator, but we're extremely proud and excited about of the services and the kind of challenges we face that we're able to at least engage. We also are especially proud that we have what's referred to as an open access model, where we don't require students to do anything other than walk in or either call to make appointments. Because we've seen from the research and the data that when folks have suffered in silence long enough, they wake up one day with just a deja vu and attitude to simply say, I'm going to go get help. And if the process is made simple for them to get the help that they seek, then it's fine. But if it's a complicated and convoluted process to get help, folks will then just simply continue to suffer in silence. So we are proud of our walk-in model. The services that we offer are based on some very traditional types of mental health intervention, such as cognitive therapy. We are now also incorporating positive psychology, as well as trauma therapy, and of course, telehealth as a means of embracing those folks during the pandemic. And we also offer substance abuse evaluations and groups. One of our greatest resources, and we've already heard from some of our other colleagues and other universities, and I'm very pleased and excited to know that when we have these kind of events, we get a chance to see where everybody is and whether we're in the ballpark or whether we are knocking a home run with reference to interventions and with reference to other things like services. And so the greatest resource that we all have as universities, especially universities of color, happen to be our students. That's our greatest resource with reference to combating mental illness and communicating mental health awareness. And so that being said, we are also a member of Active Minds Group, and we also advocate that students from every field of study come to be a member of Active Minds or are invited to be. We also engage the folks that we feel like are really in the trenches where the students are concerned, because students will oftentimes come to other students to have conversations and talks about their experience and how they have made it thus far through college while combating or while dealing with mental health problems. And so creating peer mentor opportunities like the Active Minds Psychology Club, and even resident assistant programs where students who are working on work study assignments have the opportunity to train in mental health first aid. And so because they are the first responders, so to speak. But one of the things that we often want to not fail to remember happens to be what strategies and what resources students have also already employed and may also possess. And so before I move on to another subject, promoting the wellness and health approach, where there are 8 different dimensions to wellness. We see and understand and have begun to notice that emotional, physical, occupational, financial, intellectual, spiritual, social, and environmental dimensions all have some impact on the wellness and the health of our students, and on the wellness and health of our community as well. But we would look to encourage our students to be mindful of those things that will cause them to be distracted from their studies, and that then brings them back to the health and wellness dimension. And in the course of building health and wellness skills, we do not forget that resilience happens to be one of the key factors in building resilience or building health and wellness. And so when we think about resilience, the capacity to recover from difficulties and toughness happens to be the definition. And we screen for resilience just like we would screen for adverse childhood experiences or depression or anxiety. We screen for resilience. And one of several items in the Likert scale that measures resilience is a question such as, I am able to adapt when changes occur, or when there are no clear solutions to my problems, sometimes fate or God can help. Another statement in the resilience scale, I can deal with whatever comes my way, or I give my best effort no matter what the outcome may be. This is just a few of the items that are measured, again, on a Likert scale where resilience is concerned, with an effort to just reiterate the fact that our students come with skills that they tend to not acknowledge when they are overwhelmed with the demands and stresses. So that's what I would want to bring to you from St. Augustine's University's Counseling Center. And again, I commend all of my colleagues who are in the field, both private and in the university setting, for doing the work that we have to do. And I think part of our job is that we groom other students like the ones who have already been there or have shown themselves today from Winston-Salem, who are interested in taking up the torch and being willing to engage and to be healthcare providers. So again, thank you very much, Mrs. Broadway, and CFNC for having us.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Warren, for accepting the invite and sharing that great information about your open access model. As you stated, it needs to be as seamless as possible once the person has decided to get help. That simplicity is key. And I'm excited to hear about the peer opportunity programs that are being held at SAU as well. Thank you so very much. At this time, we're now going to hear from Elizabeth City State University, Dr. LaTanya Johnson. It's the Rhythm in Me, Expressive Art, Therapies, and Clinical Practice. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson, you're muted. Just like me, don't even worry about it.
I'm sorry, I've been talking, just talking. Okay. So good afternoon. I have been amazed as I was sitting listening to everyone else's presentation, and I don't want to say the same thing. So we're going to take just a different route to some of the offerings that we have at Elizabeth City State University. Certainly, we do want to recognize the traditional methods of providing counseling and treatment services, but we also want to branch off a little bit because, you know, being at an HBCU, we want to capitalize on things that we've done, things that come naturally. So one of the initiatives that we have now is the title of this is It's the Rhythm in Me. So we're focusing on music, movement, and artistic oral expression when it comes to providing for our mental wellness. So just briefly, we're talking about why it's important. Why is it important to use music, movement, and artistic oral expression? Because throughout history, focusing on African-American lives, throughout history, we have used those same modalities to help bring us through. So next slide, please. So when we talk about music, you know, it's good for processing emotions. It has a regulating or calming effect, especially if you're anxious or you're feeling dysregulated. And then it talks about the 4 major interventions of music therapy. So it's connecting to the brain. So the lyrics provide an opportunity for you to correlate with your experience. So when you hear a song, you can identify with it. Improvisation music playing encourages emotional expression, socialization, and exploration of various therapeutic themes. When you're actively listening to music, again, it engages that neocortex of the brain. And when you're writing your songs, it can help you to validate how you feel and involve self-expression. When we talk about movement, we're talking about meditation that helps to alleviate depression. We're talking about those types of movement that allow you to pay close attention to your body sensations. One of my colleagues earlier mentioned body scans. So when you're moving, including yoga practices or deep breathing exercises, you're paying attention to your bodily position, you're in tune to being grounded in that moment, and you pay attention to your gut feelings. We all know this, your mind and your body are intimately connected. The brain controls the body, but movement also affects how you think and feel. And sometimes we forget that, but that's very important because when we experience trauma, the body never forgets that. So we have to learn, even though your mind tries to, it's impossible. So we have to learn to make sure that we take care of our mind and our body. We have to take care of ourselves totally. The mental health benefits of movement include circulation, metabolism, clarity, mood, and resilience. So we're still talking about self-love, taking care of yourself. Okay, so student counseling services here at ECSU. We're under the Division of Student Affairs. We're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. I've listed the difference between counseling, privacy, and confidentiality. So, and that's important because I want you to know that there are limits to confidentiality. So privacy is just being free from interruptions. Counseling is a confidential discussion between a clinical provider and a student. But there are limits to confidentiality, including if you tell me that you're going to harm yourself, you plan to harm someone else, someone is harming you or taking advantage of you. And then students who are minors need adult consent in order to obtain services. Okay, so some of the resources are listed here, what we have at ECSU. But when we talk about music, movement, and artistic oral expression, I just want to take a minute to talk about some of the programming that we've been engaged in. So one of them is we have Wusa Wednesday, and that's involving yoga. We did that before finals to kind of help you relax and get in the good mind space in order to excel during final week. We've had a poetry, I'm going to say a poetry jam, where you have music again, and you have people expressing themselves with their own artistic renditions of their experiences. And then you also have the component of groups. So throughout history, when you get people socializing, that's a way to heal ourselves, to heal each other, to get out of the box and make sure that we know that we're not alone. And a lot of my colleagues have talked about that as well. You're not alone. So when we're talking about mindful movement, music, and artistic oral expressions, these happen in group settings. We also have grief support groups, and now this semester we have pop-up wellness shops. So as Mr. Warren stated, the students just need to come in, because when they're ready, and they don't need to have to go through the red tape just to get the services that they need when they declare that they are ready. Most recently, we had a Black Love Speaks program on Valentine's Day, as a matter of fact, and we had a published poet there. And again, it gives students the opportunity to express themselves. We were talking about relationships at the time, and that was student-led couples, as well as another couple. So again, expression, giving students a way to express themselves, which is outside of the box. We have resident assistant support meetings, and then we're having another program coming up called Lit and Low, where we're talking about alcohol and depression. So we're going to allow students, and we're going to collaborate. We do collaborations with a lot of different departments, but we're going to collaborate with our Pan-Hellenic Greek letter organizations to talk about, again, alcohol and depression, the correlation, and how to seek help when you recognize the warning signs. We have Tao Connect Self-Help, which is on our website, the Calm app. Every student and staff member has the opportunity to subscribe to the Calm app. We also have on our website the mental health screening. You get to take it, and it's on your own time and your own privacy. We have Viking Cares, Campus Advocates for Recovery and Education Services, and someone else mentioned the CRC, Collegiate Recovery Community Program. And then we have the Elizabeth City Recovery Meeting List. Additional student and public resources in Elizabeth City. And I believe it's on the next slide as well. Okay. And my supervisor, Ms. Jody Granda, is the Director of Student Counseling Services. We also have Ms. Joanna Reed and myself as the counselors that represent the Student Counseling Services at Elizabeth City State University, home of the mighty Vikings, Viking Pride. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Johnson. We appreciate it of you providing information regarding self-expression and movement. I like Woosah Wednesday. I'm gonna use that one. Poetry jam and the pop-up wellness shops. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge and expertise in making the students and those who are listening on about the many resources that are on the campus of Elizabeth City State University. Thank you so very much. At this time, I'm going to turn this over to my colleague, Ms. Tamika Tamika Ruffin. I'm marrying you off, Tamika. Miss Tamika Ruffin, so that she can take care of the Q&A and any additional comments that she would like to have. Again, thank you so very much for taking time out of your day. All right, Tamika.
Thank you, Soretta, and thank you again to everybody that joined us, for all of our wonderful panelists. I just want to say thank you for just a wealth of knowledge. I know it was a little bit longer than some of our other webinars, but we think that the topic is so important, and we want to make sure that all students are just aware of all the various resources that are available on college campuses and in their communities. So thank you guys so much for just your willingness to be a part of this panel. It was, we greatly appreciate it. I will give an opportunity if anybody has any questions. I know we answered some of the questions in between. Some of our bigger questions were about privacy, which I heard Ms. Johnson actually address during talking about how privacy works as far as on the college campuses and what things they can keep within the counseling area and what things they may need to report for reasons. So we heard that. And I hope you heard also about a lot of the resources, of course, are free. And so if you are a student on a college campus, or you know a student on a college campus, definitely share with them the accessibility that you have, all the resources that you have to be able to use for free as a student. And so those were some of our main questions, but if anybody has any questions that they want to ask, feel free to do that. I don't see anything in the chat at this point, but again, you have also received the contact information. This will be recorded, and this is recorded, so it's going to be available on our College Foundation of North Carolina YouTube channel. So if you want to share it, you're able just to do that from there. I do want to mention, as we kind of move forward, that this is just one of our programs that we have within our HBCU series webinar. We have another coming up on February 23rd, and this is going to be for students who are thinking about going to graduate school. Everybody kind of remembers their undergrad, applying to undergraduate school, and how much you had to know about when you needed to do what. So this is going to be one of those webinars that's going to be helpful, because most students are not sure exactly how does the graduate process work in comparison to the undergraduate process. And so this will be a wonderful webinar to share and to join. If you're interested in learning more, it's going to be on the 23rd at 3. And you can take a screenshot of this, because that's going to be the link to register. We'll also have it posted on our social media pages, so look out for it there. But definitely join us for our next webinar series event. And then, of course, connect with CFNC on YouTube, on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you have any questions, if you want to reach out to us again to reach any of the speakers that you heard today, definitely reach out to us. But I thank you guys so much for joining us, and I hope that you have a wonderful Wednesday, right? Woosah Wednesday. This is Woosah Wednesday. So we want to thank you guys for joining us today, and have a great afternoon.